Hey fam, I want you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications.
Well, the Lieutenant Governor, Justin Fairfax, has given a couple of interviews to The Root and the Washington Post where he has proclaimed his innocent and saying he is calling for a FBI investigation into the two women who have accused him of sexual assault. Last week, we had one professor who accused him of forcing her to have oral sex in 2004 at the Democratic National Convention. And the second assault dropped on Friday, where a woman who attended Duke University with him saying he raped her while he was on campus. Now, Fairfax has denied all of these allegations, and he has made it perfectly clear that he is not going to resign, and he wants there to be an investigation. Now, no one has stepped up when it comes to the issue of the investigation. Who will actually lead that? We also saw last week where Democrats there were going to move forward on impeachment of Justin Fairfax. Well, they have backed off on that as of today. And so Virginia continues to be in turmoil, not only with Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax, but also Governor Ralph Northam and his whole issue with blackface as well. It's just pure craziness happening in Virginia. So I'm going to deal with Northam in just a second. But right now, I want to talk about Justin Fairfax and what's going to happen with him with my panel. And first off, Dr. Avis Jones-DeWeaver, leadership strategist and also author of the book, How Exceptional Black Women Lead. She's also a resident of Virginia. Michael Brown, former vice chair of the DNC Finance Committee. Eugene Craig, CEO, Eugene Craig Organization. Avis, I want to start with you. I had you on the Tom Joyner Morning Show this morning, and you were pretty emphatic where you said that you believe that Fairfax should not resign. There should be an investigation.
Absolutely. In my mind, in America, when someone is charged with something, when someone makes an accusation, people should have the right to defend themselves. We don't go straight from accusation to guilt. There needs to be some sort of intervening investigation in between there. And so my hope is that we do slow pump on the brakes here and have an actual investigation. My fear is that when we have this sort of blind belief mentality around the Me Too movement, we may be creating a situation as women where this could come back to haunt us in the future. It hurts no one to take the time to do an actual investigation to make sure that when we move forward with punishment, we are moving forward with punishment righteously, and therefore we won't have any situation, either with this particular allegation or with those in the future, where someone might actually make an accusation that ends up not being true, and then at the end of the day, all women then are less likely to be believed. Let's take a moment to sort of slow down, do this thing right, so that we make sure that justice actually occurs.
Michael Brown is very interesting because you've seen presidential candidates, Senator Kamala Harris, Senator Cory Booker, say that Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax should resign. There have been other Democrats also saying the exact same thing. But it's very interesting when I looked at a lot of different comments on social media, the number of people, men and women, who are African American, even though both women accusing him are black, he's African American, they are saying, wait a minute, the guy should not have his career ruined until there's actually an investigation. Michael, what say you?
It's interesting. I actually co-sign a lot of what the good doctor said, because I think we've gotten into this, and it doesn't mean you don't believe the women, and certainly doesn't mean that you don't believe the women should have a fair hearing. The question is, should the pendulum swing so far that if somebody makes an accusation against somebody, their career's over, job is over, family destroyed, without any evidence of that, or at least some due process? So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. And then you have other people who I've spoken to, and I'm sure you've spoken to too, Roland and Doctor and Eugene, that have said, wait a minute, how come the black guy has to resign? Why aren't the white guys resigning? Or why aren't they trying to figure this out? So there are a lot of different dimensions to this whole story, but clearly there has to be an investigation, has to be due process, and it also does not mean you don't believe the women when you suggest that.
So, Eugene, what is that investigation? Because Justin Fairfax has passed 2 FBI background checks before, of course. He worked on the 2004 campaign. Well, the question is it the FBI? What if they decline? What's the jurisdiction? Is it Boston, where Dr. Vanessa Tyson says she was sexually assaulted? Is it North Carolina, and where Duke, where Meredith Watson said that she was raped? Is it the Virginia Assembly? And so the question then becomes, folks say, yeah, there should be an investigation, but who does the investigation?
Well, I'm going to quote the great Scott Bolden here. I think probably the jurisdictions where the crimes are alleged to have occurred. So that would be Boston, that would be North Carolina. But, I have to agree with Michael and Davis here. You have to have due process. Part of the women getting justice, if this did happen, is actually having an investigation and giving Justin Fairfax his due process rights of actually thoroughly looking at this, looking at all the facts, looking at all the contemporaneous evidence, all the possible witness statements, which I think is, somewhat interesting that the ladies aren't calling for an investigation themselves. They aren't, asking for charges to be filed. They aren't asking for authorities to step in and rectify this and provide them with justice. They're asking for his resignation, which I think does speak volumes to the situation.
Well, and they would speak to that because in the case of Meredith Watson, apparently what her lawyers did, they sent their letter to Justin Fairfax's lawyers saying he should resign by 3 p.m. or sometime in the afternoon, or we're going public.
Absolutely.
And in that letter, she says, I'm not seeking money. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to go public. And so that's raised a lot of questions that if you're bringing this out, you say that a man raped you, and you're saying, all I want you is to resign. That just sort of struck people as sort of odd.
Exactly. Do you want justice because you were raped? Or do you just want him to resign? And if that is your only barometer of success in terms of what you're looking to achieve, exactly why is that? And I also find that at the end of both letters, actually, they both ended with the statement that was tantamount to, well, this is all we have to say on the matter, which to me is analogous to saying, don't ask me any questions, don't expect me to say anything about this. And now that we have sort of ramped up to this particular stage where there was at least a threat of impeachment, once again, similarly, they both came out and said that we would testify at an impeachment hearing. But when you have impeachment hearings, particularly at the House level, just the impeachment process, that does not require you to be under oath, okay?
Yep.
And it does not require any other sort of factors to be brought in to make sure, frankly, that people are telling the truth. It's just an opportunity for you to make a statement. And so the level of veracity that they're putting behind these charges, to me, falls below what we've seen in other examples. So, for example, if you just quickly compare this to Dr. Blasey Ford, who came out against Kavanaugh, here's what she did. She wanted an investigation. From the very beginning, she was calling for an FBI investigation. She came to the table already with corroborating evidence in terms of the notes with her therapist that she had told for years prior to Kavanaugh even being considered for the Supreme Court. She also came forward with a polygraph test that she took voluntarily, which she passed. And interestingly, Kavanaugh didn't want to take a polygraph test. And as I said, the entire time she was pushing for an investigation. That's what people protested for. Let me tell you, that's what I got arrested for, an investigation of those charges. And so I find it very interesting that the only ask here with these two alleged victims is impeachment. How do we move towards, how is that justice, rather than searching for the truth and getting it out in the open? I just don't get that. It just seems like an interesting end game. If I am the one that's aggrieved, I want everyone to know all the facts, and then I want him to be punished beyond just losing his job.
Roland,
Michael, look, it's first of all, Michael, look, it's public knowledge that, look, you had to deal with the issue of a bribery scandal in Washington, D.C., serving time in federal prison. FBI came knocking on your door. The reality is, when the FBI comes knocking on your door in any investigation, you can't lie to them, because if you lie to them, then that's also a federal crime.
If they're knocking on your door, you're in enough trouble. Best thing to do is not lie anymore. So yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's what makes this, first of all, the whole thing is a mess. And with the lieutenant governor, he is obviously saying he did not do it. He's denying it. Then we've talked about the due process. And then you have the Attorney General and the Governor that have both admitted doing some racist acts, which is the blackface, and they're being held to a whole different standard. So the whole thing is just a mess. Right. There's a double standard, triple standard. It's just, it's unfortunate.
Eugene, go ahead. Final comment.
The thing is this, if the investigation happens, well, two things. First is that them demanding that he do something by a particular time, or they're going to release something, could be almost tantamount to blackmail, if not, some form of extortion. Secondly, if there actually is an investigation, part of the investigation will be the victims, the alleged victims here, being cross-examined, having their stories thoroughly looked at, beyond just a press release put out by the law firms representing them. And that's why, I think it is really telling that they don't want to speak on the matter any more beyond a well-crafted lawyerly statement. Because the thing is this, they aren't asking for justice, they're asking for his head, like his office.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
I was calling all HBCU alumni, students, and leaders. Enter the Ford Motor Company HBCU Mobility Challenge and win $25,000 for your school. Building on their long-term support of HBCUs, Ford is looking to improve mobility in HBCU communities through innovative solutions. The winning program will receive a grant of up to $25,000 to implement their proposal. The deadline to apply is March 31st, 2019. Go to FGB.Life. That's FGB.Life for more information and to apply. Ford goes further in our communities.
Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.